Once upon a time, there was a young basketball player who had dreams of becoming one of the greatest basketball players of all time. My name is Kobe Bryant. I'm 17 years old with the hunger, the motivation, and a desire to be the best possible basketball player that I could be. He worked day and night, every day, for years and years and years and years and years. As time went on, 20 years had passed, and he felt that he had accomplished all that he set out to accomplish. But what he come to realize is that the goal that he set out initially of becoming the greatest of all time was a very fickle one. And what he realized that the most important thing in life is how your career moves and touches those around you, and how it carries forward to the next generation. But he realized that's what makes true greatness. The story would be about transformation of a kid looking inwardly to then growing up and understanding the importance and the power is looking outward.
R.I.P. Kobe. All right, we're going to do a moment of silence for the GOAT. Rest in peace, Kobe. Let's get on with this episode.
Jack, what are you doing here, man?
Oh, fuck you, snot rag. Let's book.
Don't call me that, all right? My last name's Hanky.
All right, Hanky. Don't have a spaz. Come on, bro. Let's get us some poontang.
Give us $6 worth of dinosaur juice, man.
Nah, man, $5 and a pack of Reds.
We've been here a while, Pud, and things are going pretty good, if you know what I mean.
For us.
Fuck you, Muldoon. Fuck you, fucking worm.
What's up, everyone? This week on the pod, it is the 50th episode, and it's also my birthday week. I'm turning 40, and when this podcast airs, I will have already turned 40. This is coming out on the 29th. I'm recording this, full disclosure, on the 18th of January. So as long as I don't get stabbed at Charlie's Bar in Ensenada, I will hopefully be listening to this with all of you. And yeah, this is a special one. This is unapologetically a hardcore punk rock podcast, and I'm trying to keep it that way, not straying too much, because I think everything else is represented pretty well. To talk about stuff non-punk and hardcore, it's like, oh, that's the rest of the fucking world. So let's stay niche, let's stay fucking weird, and do this. But this week is a treat to myself. Probably, yeah. I mean, my favorite movie of all time is The Stoned Age. It was like a straight to VHS movie. It came out in like 94, 93, 94, something in that range. Just stumble across it in Blockbuster, watch it, fell in love with it. Straight to VHS, like that shit is wild and is of another time now. And this movie's timeless. It's held up for me, basically through my whole life. I've never gotten bored of it. I think there's like funny little nooks and crannies always to be discovered in here. And this was a movie that a lot of us in Oxnard in my era, we bonded over. We'd have nights and watch this movie and crack up and drink and have a lot of fun. So I was able to reach out to Michael Kopelow and Bradford Tatum, who are Joe and Hubs from the Stoned Age, and they both were very generous with their time and came on the pod, and I interviewed both of them. So pretty fucking cool. Anyway, for me at least. Hopefully you don't hate it, because I know this is a punk podcast. But anyway, you got to go check out the movie. It's available anywhere. The Stoned Age is the shit. A lot of like the it's a movie that would probably get canceled now for sure. But whatever. It's fucking film. It's art. It's culture. Whatever the fuck ever. Let's fucking do this, dude.
Have fun, boys, and don't eat too many hot dogs.
185 Miles South, a hardcore punk rock podcast.
What about that bikini?
What? What was that?
I said, what about that bikini you bought her so you could watch her out by the pool and sport wood, man?
Ah, shit. I fully forgot to say. If you want to support the pod, please like, rate, and review wherever you listen to podcasts. Also, share with your friends. Share on social media. Share with everyone, dude. Let's get this pod out there. Also, if you want to go the extra mile, please go to patreon.com/185 miles south and become a monthly Patreon. That supports the show. It keeps it going. And I love every one of my Patreons. You guys are the shit. Now let's try to get... We're going to get Michael Kopelow on the phone right now.
Zach.
Michael Kopelow.
What's happening, dude?
What is going on? How you doing?
I'm all right, man. I'm just sort of rearranging a couple things here.
Cool.
In the old office space so I could sit and chat.
Cool, man. Well, thanks for taking the time to do this. I really appreciate it.
Hey, no sweat, man.
Yeah.
It's always interesting and cool when someone wants to talk about the Stone Age, this movie I said.
Yeah, generally this is a podcast based around Southern California punk rock, but as a treat to myself on my for my birthday week, I wanted to do one on my favorite movie ever.
Well, hell yeah, man.
Yeah. So
very cool.
Yeah. So to jump right in, a lot of people don't know that the Stone Age had actually started as it was a short. Is that correct?
Absolutely, yeah. It was a short. In true, Stone Age and punk rock fashion, I'm going to open up a beer right now. You're going to hear it. So
do it.
There it is. That's the magic sound.
It's not an Ox 45, though.
No, I've had trouble finding those ever since the movie wrapped 20-something years ago. Yeah. Those were actually, I think they were cult 45s, just reissued as an Ox.
Yeah.
But
I've definitely bought a bootleg shirt.
Oh yeah, I used to have all kinds of stuff. Like over the moving and all different transitions in life. I've lost all my Ox 45 gear. So
we'll have to do it again sometime.
I know, right?
Because that's the thing about the movie is it's totally timeless.
I've noticed that.
Well, there's never so on the poster. It maybe it turned some people off from the movie, but it turned a lot of people onto the movie. Was comparing it to Dazed and Confused, and saying it's better. And the thing about Dazed and Confused is that's like they're living the ultimate life, where it's a timeless tale of, kids, no matter where they live, cruising around trying to find something to do.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, to kind of blend those two things, short film and what you just said, that was the impetus of the whole thing. And what I think Jim and Rich at the time were going for was very like kind of day in the life. This is what you do. This is like, mind you, this is pre where we're at now, technology wise, cell phones and internet and all that stuff, where you kind of had to make up shit. You had to go. I mean, that is still true today, but you had to like go out and find shit to do and make it up, you know?
Yeah, and drive somewhere and ask them where the party is, because if they're not at home next to the phone, you can't get a hold of them.
Yeah, if it's not like without a flyer or you know, or even like a Facebook post or like, hey, or an invite, like how do you know where the shit is?
Sure.
It was all like word of mouth and like, hey, someone's having a party, where is it?
Right.
It was all underground and kind of cool. But yeah, man, it was originally a short film it started at AFI,
okay,
the American Film Institute.
So this is him when he's like in school for film.
Yeah. Jim Malconi and Rich Willis. They were going to AFI, and they decided to work on that project together. I don't know why, but they did. Because they're both cool, I guess. But yeah, it started out as essentially, I think it was like their final, like a grad piece where you have to make like a. I don't remember how long the short film was. It might have been like 20 minutes or something. Okay. It was like it was a good chunk of what is still in the film today. We just kept reshooting it.
So is it totally lost to history? Like, why did they not put it as like a bonus on the DVD or anything?
That might be because there was different actors.
Okay.
That might be like they'd have to get. I would imagine they would have to get permission, and maybe they don't want to compare because, or they just want the association to be the association.
Sure.
If it was the same actors, well, two of them are the same. Me and Renee.
Oh, okay.
We were in like every version of the film until it was finally made as the version everyone got to see. But film through. Then it was like with another company. We did another kind of like test shot where we just with other different actors, and basically it was hubs. Like there was different actors that came up and were trying to portray hubs until Brandon showed up, and then bam.
Now, forgive me because I don't know anything about film. But so if someone does a grad project and they go out to do a movie for school, do they have to recruit a bunch of people that work for free, or do they somehow get a budget to like pay you, or do they have to ask you like, hey, hook me up?
Well, it was like for the actors, it was basically hook me up.
Yeah.
in essence, and they kind of a lot of actors will want to do will work for free just because you can get footage.
Sure.
You can get like what they call like a reel.
Sure.
So you have to sort of represent yourself, almost like a band's demo tape. Like, yeah, this is our demo, man.
Right.
But I think all the people working on it at when it was like in film school all worked at the school, so they all had to like work together. And I think they were given like a budget. I think I'm not sure, but I went to theater school, and that was very different. We touched on film, but like not the production. But I've made features, but I don't know. I think they all just had to kind of work together, and it was all kind of like bro in a handshake, and you want to work on my thing, but it was like all had to do with the people that went to the school.
Sure. So how do they find you then for the short?
They put out a casting call.
Okay.
They the school AFI at the time had a relationship with SAG, the Screen Actors Guild.
Sure.
And at the time, they published this massive book of the actors that were part of the guild or involved in the guild, and you just kind of like pick your category, ages, looks, whatever, and you just kind of fan through it. And they fan through the book, and like apparently they saw my face and went, "This guy, let's bring him in to read. Let's see if he's if he hits."
Yeah, and you had already done Point Break.
Yeah, at that point I had done Point Break, Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead.
Yeah,
I believe Buffy the Vampire Slayers and People Under the Stairs. I had already done.
So all winners.
Yeah, there was. Yeah, and
you're batting 1,000.
Yeah, I know. I was like, what? Like it was not off to a rough start. Let me tell you.
No, that's great.
and then them, but like never at that point I'd never played like a lead yet, and was like hoping that would happen, and then boom, came the Stone Age, and it was kind of a neat, I guess not like conclusion to like the long hair, but it was like, okay, cool. They should, I was thinking about cutting it anyway at the time, and then Stone Age came around, and went from student film to, within about a year or two, went to, to film everyone the Stone Age.
Sure. So are we ever going to be able to track down the short? Like, is there any way to see it?
Yeah. I mean, I don't have it. But people have it. I got a freaking Facebook post, man, from like somebody that has it.
Okay.
And we're like, it was called Tax Chicks.
Right.
And
a brilliant title.
Yeah, I was like, and they went with that, but I guess the studios were like, wow, that's too, I don't know, controversial to call it Tax Chick.
Sure.
Not that the Stone Age is like, okay, well, we're going to call it that, fine, which is great title. But originally the first version of it is called Tax Chicks, and it's like VHS copy only, I think.
Yeah. So it came out actually?
No. It was a student project.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it is floating around though, and you can track it down somehow. I'll work on it. I didn't know that. I thought that maybe just only Jim had it. So
he might. I know Jim's got to have it. Maybe Rich has it. Somebody's got to have that.
I'll grease someone's palm. I got to see it at some point. Can you? I mean,
let me know too.
If it doesn't bother you too much, like, can you tell me the story of the short? Like, I'm curious about like the story arc.
It's no, not at all. It's very much it's the same subject. It's about two young guys, basically, trying to go out and, it's the same story. It's Joe is Joe, Hubs is Hubs.
Yeah. And
tired of going out and doing the same shit all the time, and thinks that there's more to life than just getting drunk, stoned, and laid.
Yeah.
But he's like stuck in this world of like, well, these are my bonehead friends, and like, this is like, what else am I going to do besides sit home, And it's the same story. It really, but it's just very short. And we go, but I remember like that opening scene of us in the car is in the short.
Yeah.
And we meet Tack. We've tracked down a party, and then we find out about these chicks, and we go meet them, and we hang out in their house, and Joe gets wasted and throws up. It's like a very mini chunk without all the other,
Yeah, it's like if you just went to the house.
Yeah, it's basically us finding out about the chicks, going to their house, and then thinking that one of them's cool, and then having a realization that like I'm gonna call her. I want to explore more than just what we've been doing for the past 17 years or something.
Yeah, it's strange because I can't imagine stripping down the movie anymore, because it's just a movie where everything's perfect and you can't like lose anything. And it's funny because it's strange to have like your favorite movie be a cult movie. And because constantly you live your life selling it to people. The first time I saw it, I was 14 years old. I turned 40 this month.
Right.
And so, you're constantly pitching it, and it's like, no, it's a perfect movie. Like every scene makes perfect sense. The acting is actually great. The soundtrack is obviously great. An amazing thing about the movie is that you basically like create your own language. You're creating words and stuff, and like that's like, that's everything the best about music and hip hop and so forth is, like just creating this language that is like, universal to your clique, and that can it makes sense. Like someone says something like a word like hoagly,
and
it's like, well, I don't know what that means, but I can tell what it means. So it's fucking hilarious, So
yeah, it's rare to have that many. I guess it really was a different language. I remember reading it, cracking up.
Yeah,
and being like, I still say man. People still say, hey man, but there was so many like, this is a different that's a whole different thing. And I'm not like comparing it to Shakespeare by any means, but like coming from, theater school, studying Shakespeare, all this stuff like that, and then actually performing it, where you're like, you have to learn it. It's English.
Yeah.
It's very like speaking it, but the references and the slang and what these words are totally not what they are. And it's, but I think it's very authentic. It was, I believe it was actually words that came from Jim and Rich's, like, growing up. Like, that's how that was their authentic slang in their group of people. And eventually just became like second nature, and we started making up words on our own.
Yeah. You were, that was a thing, when I talked to Bradford, like, it seems like so much of the movie would have to be like ad-libbed, but he was saying it was like all scripted, which is amazing. Yeah. Amazing two ways, right? Like that you scripted that way, and that you guys are actually able to pull off a script to make it seem like a lot of it is ad-libbed. Yeah.
You have to find the authenticity in the words, and find out what it, find it really, and to where it becomes like second nature, and you're in it, you're in that language.
Yeah.
And it's, and it became I remember even during filming it, like, we'd cut a scene, and then like you'd hear the cast or other cast members watching, or the crew members just like holding back their laughter because they're hearing these words for the first time. And they're funny.
Totally. Even just like to the stuff that's not like making it like a half a joint of ragweed, like it just rolls off the tongue. It's so funny. Like, oh my God. But anyway, how much of you is in the Joe character from your life?
I would say, well, the experience of what the character's going through is universal, I think.
Sure.
It is, as far as like just outgrowing a certain behavior and feeling the growing pains of that, and just not really quite understanding who you are, or your reality, or why you're here, or what's going on with the people around you, or how to relate to anybody. And then combine like, your attraction to whatever you're attracted to, the opposite sex, your sexuality, all these different things coming into play. And, that very much is what I tapped into, is just not fitting in.
Sure.
But everyone looking at you in a certain way, where like, you got the hair and the look, and I'm hanging out, and, I'm with the cool dude, and we got a car, and we have weed, and we're like kind of at the, in the sort of like nerd stoner world, like Joe and Hubs are kind of like the coolest two dudes in that world.
Right.
And, but then there's like, the jocks like Muldoon, that's a whole other, like,
stratosphere.
Exactly. But, I very much related and brought to the character just my understanding of what it's like to grow up and, find your place and your voice, and like who you are, and how you relate to things, and how, sticking up for what you think is cool, or what you want to do, or and just I wanted to make Joe authentic, and I didn't like reach for a character or a way of speaking, or I just tried to use myself 100%, and just kind of like, even if there was a situation that I hadn't been in or don't relate to, I would just allow it to be, if that makes any sense.
Sure.
And just I don't know, acting's pretending in a lot of ways, and just pretend that this is really happening to me.
Yeah. Do you think that? Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, that was kind of it, I think.
Okay. Do you think that Hubs is a good friend to Joe overall?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of this stuff is still kind of reaching back to go, okay, what was I thinking? But I like to, in the sort of like, I guess the behind the scenes, like in the character, when you build a character, you make a lot of decisions, or you're forced to make a lot of decisions, so you know how you feel about the person, or how you feel about what you're saying, that you don't really get. You can't really, but if you don't make these decisions, I think a performance lacks. and in certain moments where you're like, this person doesn't know who the hell they are, or they're misrepresenting like a whole class of human beings. Meaning like, like when you look at the screen and go, I don't see myself anywhere. I don't see characters or anyone portraying anything that I could relate to.
Right.
But
do you think that overall Hubs was a good friend to Joe? Like, I think it's debatable, because sometimes he's like a bully, but I think that like really it is coming from the heart, and he's trying to like push him down the right path, at least that he knows and understands. Like,
absolutely.
Like he's trying to push him into the winning lane.
Yeah. Also, he's like, Hubs is like, he wants a bro, he wants a buddy, he wants to like get into mischief and do crazy and fun shit, and it's more about the camaraderie of that, like the team,
right.
the sport of going out. And look what we just did, man. Like, me and you were like tight. I think Hubs really almost like loves Joe.
yeah. Because he lets Joe off the hook pretty easy. Like, as soon as you start like jumping around like a monkey and chucking the furniture into the pool, it's like as soon as it's like, all right, that's a story I could tell. He's like, all right, Joe's off the hook. Like, this is fucking fun. Let's do this.
Yeah. And like, I kind of get like they were like, they might have grown up together, or like Hubs is kind of like, he feels like he's teaching Joe, like how to be and what to do. And this is what he's like a big brother, almost kind of like, almost not fatherly, but more like big brother. Like, let me show you the ropes, man. Like, you're cool, and you could be so much cooler if you just were this way, and I would have like an equal in this, and we can like, man, we could tear up some shit if you just like, get on my wavelength and start acting like I act and doing shit that I do.
Right.
Like, he's always like, don't pussy out, or don't whatever, you're tripping out, you're flipping out, whatever it was.
You're not jumping like a grenade.
Yeah, exactly. And he's like, this is what we do. You're not following instructions. Like, this is our agreement, man. Like, we're together. This isn't about the kids. This is about us. It's about our broness.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Hubs, they were like really. I think they were closer. They're just hitting that point, which I think everyone can relate to, where you start growing. Your mind is starting to expand and go, what else is there? There's got to be more to this. And like, and look, and it's kind of like relatable and kind of a little sad, where he's like, he's outgrowing his friend. Now it's like Joe's switching it and going, well, come on, man, I want you to come with me now. Like, well, we've done this. I've followed your path, and it's leading us freaking nowhere.
Yeah. No, it's interesting like that. Like, you're completely right. That's why the movie's fucking deep, dude. Like, there's a lot to get into, and I appreciate the fact that they don't take you on that sad ride. It's like you can leave it unspoken. I feel like every comedy now, like, they have to, like, I don't know, like, the last 20 minutes has to get sad, and then like it gets feel good again. Like, even a movie, even going back to like a fucking hilarious movie like Superbad. It's like the first half of that movie is like maybe the funniest thing you ever watched, and then it's like, why do you have to have the part where you're like, oh, you're leaving me and going to college? Like, just make a funny movie.
Yeah, because also, like, your friendships growing up are not. I mean, maybe they are now. I don't know, but like, I don't remember them being like that. Like,
yeah,
you never got like the emotions are there, and I think that I'm glad you kind of pointed that out. That's also, it's like it's in the the depth of the performance and finding that, but not over explaining it. And I dug the whole how they didn't do that.
Yeah,
it was just like it's nobody. They like Joe fucking punches Hubs in the face.
Yeah, and wins the headlock battle in the end.
It's just like, hey, I could be fucking, but it's like, I love you, man, but like, fucking, stop. And I could be brutal like you too, but
yeah,
it's like, and that's like their touching moment. And the fact that Hubs doesn't kick his ass.
Right. Well, he respected like the final comeuppance was in his lane. Right.
Yeah.
It's like you had to make your point in his lane.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I still respect you, man. I get what you're saying, but like, this is the language you speak, and I can speak it too. But like, shit's gotta get different, And then like the whole subtext of the eye coming in at the end to be like, that whole theme of like, I feel like something's watching me. What is that? Like, is that religion? Is that like God? What is? your conscience, it's spirituality, you know, but it's leaving it like, leave it up to the audience to decide. And, you know, the actors themselves, and I you know, yes, me, made decisions about that in playing the part so that it's there without being there. You know what I mean?
Totally. Yeah. So you're saying that you and Renee were the only ones that went from the short to the full length that we're familiar with. Did either of you have to like read again or anything, or were you just like you guys were locked into the movie and
no.
they did it wrong. So you had to go in like a normal dude.
Yeah, I had to. It was kind of weird because I was like, I just played this part. Can you just watch the decide that I'm going to play it again?
Right.
I auditioned for that role countless times.
Fuck.
Like, the irony of the whole thing is when I met them, Jim and Rich, and I walked into the AFI and sat down, I didn't even read.
Yeah.
We just talked about it. Like I looked at the words, read it real quick, and then I can't remember which one of them said it. It's like, hey man, I think they offered it to me on the spot. They were like, you get it. You get what we're doing here. You get the part. You get it. Because I don't even think we need to read you. Do you want to do it?
Yeah.
And I was like, hell yeah. And it was just that. But the crazy thing is then when it got like, okay, now money's like real money's involved. Studios are involved, and everyone's, you know, reputation and their neck and their, you know, then I had to come back and read for it and audition for it like some umpteen times. I don't remember. And then, yeah, and then obviously got the part, but it was a little nerve wracking. So I'm like, okay, I have to go in audition again and again.
Did you ever ask him like, why do you make me jump through those hoops? Like, was it just a formality, or like, were you really thinking there might be something better?
I understand now. At the time, I just didn't get it because I didn't understand how the power structure works in a motion picture. But a lot of it has to do with that. Now there was money involved, other money,
yeah,
and other producers, and like a company's reputation. And now that they're invested, they want to make sure that the film is going to make money. They want to make sure it's going to hit its mark, and they want to make sure that like the actors that they're bringing in are going to sell it, and that they're believable, and that they're laughing, or they're interested, or they're intrigued, or they're entertained. And so I had to like win them over.
Yeah. So it's just that there was more eyes now, and you had to like, if you didn't like read for it, then they couldn't compare you against the other people.
Yeah. And at the time it wasn't so easy as just like popping up going up on your screen. All auditions were like in the room, and you would come back, and then you'd come back again, and then you'd come back again. And then they started pairing you up. Like once they decided that like, that they, you know, I won them over, and they were like, all right, yeah, let's let Kopelow play Joe. It was about like different hubs and reading with different hubs. Right. And then it was reading with different laning. Then they're looking for chemistry, you know, as far as like who connects. And I went through that rigmarole. So I had to not only read for the part, but then I started reading with all these other actors and being like, I don't know who's going to play Hub. I don't know who's going to play Laney. I don't, you know, who's going to play Joe. Like,
did you ever ask to see if like, did Jim and Rich like fight for you at all? Like, were they like putting in the positives for you?
Yeah, totally. Jim totally did. I remember getting a phone call at a payphone while calling in at a pager. Yeah. And calling Jim back and him saying, "Hey man, there was another guy reading for the part. I really wanted him, who was in the short, and I was really hoping that he would be in the final film." And we lived together, so there was like, you know, you know, it was like a buddy, and he was also in Don't Come Home, the Babysitter's Dead, and they didn't choose him; they chose Brad, and he's like, "Hey man, they told me I get to, you know, I was really fighting for you. You have to play this role, but they don't want this other guy. Will you still do the part if this other guy isn't in it?" And I had to stop for a second to think about it, because it was like, oh shit, you know, that's going to be awkward. But of course I took the part and take the part.
Yeah.
But, and then that's when Jim let me know. He's like, I'm just letting you know, man, if you don't do this,
yeah,
I've been fighting for you, really, really fighting for you. It's like, yeah, you got some credits, but like, you're coming on as the lead, and no one knows who the hell you are.
Right.
So, but yeah, I believe, I remember, he really fought for me.
Yeah.
To take that role.
Did you have chemistry with Bradford off the bat?
Yeah. Instant.
Yeah. I mean, you guys are perfect.
The dude walked in, and in my gut, I was like, "There's Hubs."
Yeah.
Like he didn't speak yet.
Yeah.
He just walked in the room. The first time meeting him, and we read together, and he just sat down next to me, and I was like, and it was just like, "Fuck, there he is. That's Hubs," and immediately, I felt my performance just lift, and I was able to even find or connect with Joe even more working with him. I was like, there it is, this is it, and I knew it right away.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Let's talk about filming a little bit. There was 2 blue torpedoes, so you could do it.
There was the one we drove,
yeah,
and then there was one that they put on called the Shot Maker, which is where it was like a trailer that they drive. For certain scenes where you got to do dialogue, but you can't be driving because it's totally unsafe.
Okay.
But there was 2, but one of them was just a broken down version of the shell.
Uh-huh.
That was on a trailer, and then there's one that's the real blue torpedo, the one that actually drove around and we used in the film.
Do you ever know what happened to either of them?
No, I wanted to buy the blue torpedo.
Of course. So where did that conversation go?
They said I was willing to buy it. I could buy it,
mm-hmm.
but I didn't have. I say at the time I didn't have enough money to buy it.
Yeah.
Use my money that I'm making from the movie to live, or buy the blue torpedo.
Right. Yeah. When they're casting stuff, because all the dudes in the crew are perfect, Mike
mm-hmm.
Dick, Mike New York, are those guys are they just reading for the roles too?
I don't remember
on that micro of a level. Do people in film that have 1 line or 2 lines, do they have to do that as well?
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done a lot of those where you go, you for Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead.
Mm-hmm.
It was Point Break. It's just I auditioned for that scene, that.
Yeah.
That's it. Oh, okay. Don't Tell Mom, I auditioned for the lead, but they read everyone for the lead.
Right.
Kenny, I think. And then because they knew that there's other parts. And so I got cast as whatever the character, Hellhound or something like that. And there was okay, you say this line, you get this line, but you'll go on full on audition, just so you can show up in a movie and say hello, or you want fries with that, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, so those guys, I don't know what they auditioned for something else, for TAC or this or that, but they ended up getting those roles. Right.
They could have auditioned for TAC and then ended up in that role.
Yeah.
Did you stay friends with anyone after the movie?
Not so much. I mean, I kept in touch.
Mm-hmm.
I know Brad and I live in the same neighborhood.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think so. I would run into him every once in a while, which is always amazing. I run into Clifton.
Okay.
I think he lives around. I think we all are kind of Clifton and Brad and I live all kind of in the same neighborhood somewhere around here in LA. And I just saw Clifton at Ralph's over Thanksgiving.
Are you surprised how his career took off?
No, I mean, he's really talented, and I met him on the film and then worked with him. I was like, wow. And then we had the same manager for a little while, and just a kind of, it's a feeling. You just kind of know people. And I was like, man, he's gonna do really, really well.
Yeah, I isolate that. There's a scene in the Stone Age when he picks up Snot Rag and he backs up over the fence and then takes off, and and it hits the bump, and his facials are out of this world. He's just a great actor. he can tell a story just with his face.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, he was another one too when he auditioned, and I had to do a scene with him.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh my god, he's amazing.
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm like happy for him, proud of him, man. But like, I was not that surprised that his career took off because I just knew it would. I was like, this guy he's incredibly talented. He's gonna, if he sticks with this, and he did, he's gonna do really, really well, and he really has.
Yeah, I get stoked every time like he pops up, and he pops up on a lot of stuff. It's like, oh shit, there's Tack.
I know it's hard for me not to. I mean, there's some roles where he's like so in it, and I haven't seen all of his work, but a good amount of it, where I'm like, I can't help it.
Yeah,
I'm like, that's Tack.
Yeah. Well, I think maybe you, Clifton, and Bradford were all on. My favorite show of all time was NYPD Blue, and I think you guys were all on it. Were you on it?
I think.
Maybe it was just them two.
I think it might have been.
Okay, and it's just crazy, like to see people like that. Like, oh shit, there's Hubs on NYPD Blue, or there's fucking Tack. I think Hubs was actually on like 2 separate episodes. I
think there was. Actually, no, it's wild. I think I was, man, but I didn't. It's not like on my resume or IMDb or anything like that.
Yeah,
I vaguely remember booking an episode of that. I just can't remember if we filmed it or not, because sometimes that happens.
Yeah,
you book something and then like they make a last minute change in the script, and you're like, oh no. But yeah, I'm sure there's something that all three of us cross paths on again.
Yeah, one of my buddies, Sergio, he wanted me to ask a question about what went into the puke scene with the chair. Like, how do you prep for that?
I was like not down for puking because it had to be comic, but after doing numerous amount of takes of puke scene, I was like, I might just puke.
Right.
But they make you a mixture of, I think it was like, oh man, I'm not a big pea soup fan. I really don't like pea soup.
Right.
I've had I don't know, sidetrack, but he was making like the prop master was making stuff. He whipped me up this, and at that point we're all like starting to become like pals and buddies on the set, and like little practical jokes and people screwing with each other a little bit are starting to happen. And he was giving me all this shit of like, hey, we're doing the puke scene today. I'm gonna make your puke. And he says, I'm gonna put special stuff in there. And I'm like, oh man. He's like he's gonna try to make me puke.
Right.
But it was this weird mixture of like pea soup and something else, and like so like he kept it was grossing me out. It was like not chunky enough. But it had to be green because of the schnapster,
Sure.
So they, I don't know what they put. It was nasty, man. There was like some like cold and weird, and I had to keep taking big mouthfuls of it, and just to get that initial like bleh out. And then they had this like a rig, like a hose, and somebody like pumping it.
Right.
So I had to puke at a certain angle so that enough came out of my mouth, but then the hose shot out to like the projectile.
Right.
And then I had to sit there and like try to keep my mouth open long enough.
Yeah.
And time it so it didn't look like I was puking through a closed mouth.
Sure.
And it was like this, timing. It was just awkward. And like as I'm doing it, I'm starting to feel like I might just fucking puke.
Right. Which would ruin the scene.
It would, because it would have been a different color.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, it's hilarious. Like being on the edge of like wanting to laugh and wanting to puke.
Yeah, it was. And this guy was like going for it because they really wanted like a real like hose steady stream of the puke. So I'm sitting there just kind of like trying to keep my mouth open and convulse my body and make it as real as possible. Yeah. And that you asked earlier, what did I bring? Like, yeah, I've puked many times.
Yeah.
I puke too.
I think that they did a very good job of like the pre-puke feeling too, like the way they did that with like the kind of the zooming in and out, and like you're looking for somewhere to puke, and yeah, that's a pretty insightful scene.
Yeah, I became more nauseated doing that than the actual puke, because I was like kind of going in my head and going, oh, 'cause I know that feeling. I think we all do.
Yeah.
I was like, where's this gonna land, man? I gotta put this somewhere.
Yeah. That's amazing. Do you have any favorite memories from the movie?
Favorite memories?
Yeah.
There's a lot of them. I don't know. I mean, I might feel like kind of a cop out, but just like the whole experience.
Sure.
I mean, it was just like showing up on the first day and then seeing how big it was in comparison to the student film or the other version, and just seeing all the, the parts coming together. And then there it was, like Jim's, he's going to direct, we're going to make this movie. And just how amazing it was knowing the script, and that we're like, we're going to do this. Like, this is happening, and I'm in it, man. I'm playing this part, and we got like a month and a half of a schedule, and we're going to it's going to happen. And how exciting that was to know that this is my job right now. Like, I get to do this with these guys and play this role with this subject matter and do this shit. Like every scene to me was cool. Like, that's a great scene. That's a great scene. That's a great scene. That's funny. Can't wait to do that scene. And just believing in the project so much, and have come that far playing it in a student film, and then doing some weird test shot thing that we had when we were trying to sell it to a bigger company. We had to shoot 2 more scenes with different characters or different actors, and then having that, here it is. I think that's got to be just that feeling of this is why I wanted to get into this. This is why I wanted to act, is to be able to do films like this with this feeling, with these people, and have that feeling. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because you're just along for the whole journey. So it seeing fruition it's a win for you.
Yeah, and just it was unbelievably inspiring, and that changed my outlook and changed my life from doing it, and the projects I believe in, or the people, or the knowing, and seeing that you can take something from an idea, or just this is just fun, or this is between friends, and how big that can get, and that it can happen. That's the thing that to this day, I keep is just the experience and knowing that that happened. A bunch of dudes just sitting around, let's make this movie, and a bunch of dudes hired a bunch of dudes to make a movie.
Yeah,
it's all about dudes, and it was that to me is ultimately inspiring, that the film got made the way they wanted to make it.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't seem like it's hampered by anyone saying can't do that, can't say that.
No,
that's why I would love to talk to them and have them explain they actually got their vision on tape.
Yeah,
I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah,
it seems like it.
Yeah, no, I think that. I mean, that's what I took from it. That's what I got, and what they fought for, and what they got. I really believe in. I mean, I know it. I know they made the movie they wanted to make. I don't think there was any compromise as far as this is the scene we want. This is what he's saying. This is what's going to happen. The language, the look, the feel, this, that, and that's ultimately inspiring. And I think maybe why it caught on is people are really looking at a really authentic piece that comes from inspiration and is real to the creators that made it and everyone that got involved.
Yeah, it's a slow burn. I don't think that anyone has gotten sick of it. And it's been there for so long, and the people that come across it seem to always love it.
Yeah,
'cause I have a tattoo on my leg, and so whatever.
Oh shit!
Yeah, it's whatever. But anywhere I go, sometimes people are like, "Oh shit, the Stone Age," and it's the most random people. And then we'll talk about it for I stopped wearing sports gear and shit because I don't want people to I'm at Vaughn's or some shit and they're like, oh hey, Dodgers, how they doing? I'm like, I don't want to talk to you, but
yeah, right.
But someone flags out oh, Stone Age, what's up? It's how much time you got, buddy? Let's chat about this, because I mean, the fans are fans, and like, it's always like some legitimate, like real cool person, that's like into it. Like I've never met a sorry Stone Age fan.
No, man. That's golden. Like throughout the years, even when it finally like kind of like started to get momentum and it took off through like video and word of mouth, and I would go places and people would like flip out. No one flipped out like uncool. Like people like tell these whole stories about like being noticed or fans or people coming up to them. Never had that with this movie. It's always cool. I'm always down to talk. Everyone's cool. It's just like,
yeah.
It's like the coolest, like best fans, admirers, people that like love the movie you can ask for. Everyone's like, I've even like traveled, to like honor some like people that love the movie, just wanted me to come out to their area and hang out with them and watch their band or whatever.
Yeah, that's so sick.
Yeah, even like this band, you ever know the band Fu Manchu?
Oh, of course.
Yeah, like they were huge fans, and like, and I love the band. They're like, I was like, wait a minute, I'm a fan of you guys.
Yeah, that rules.
And they got in touch with me and wanted me to be in one of their videos a long time ago or something like that. I'm like, yeah, and then they're like, yeah, we're playing, and then I became like pals with like the guitarist. He's like, yeah, we're playing, and come on down, man. And he found out like I sang in a band. He's like, would you want to come up on stage and sing a song with us? I'm like, yeah. That never happened. So, yeah. But it's like the coolest. They're like, yeah, the Stone Age was our favorite movie to watch on a tour bus. I'm like, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Like that's all right. That's already like, that's hit wow.
So rad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you taking all the time for me. I just got a couple. Who do you think would win in a fight between Crump's brother and Warchild?
Warchild
from Point Break.
Yeah.
Yeah, you think he'd fuck him up?
I think Crump's brother, because Warchild that's that Anthony Kiedis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, but what if it was Crump's brother and Warchild versus Jill Wojcikowski's dad? Jill's dad. What if we toss that one Samoan dude in on Warchild and Crump's brother's side? Does that tilt the scale?
No, we got to come with like a video game, like which I don't know.
You can go forever, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Warchild was pretty crazy with no weapons. I think Crump's brother would win that fight, but I think together. Well, no, I mean Jill's dad just took out
the whole crew.
He beat up the whole crew.
Yeah.
He's like Golden Gloves, but like, yeah, I think Jill's dad, in theory, is the toughest mofo, in cult film history.
Yeah, I agree. Hard motherfucker.
Yeah, and apparently he drank my pee and didn't mind. So
again, hard motherfucker.
Again, hard motherfucker.
Yeah. All right, Michael. I really appreciate the time, and
I appreciate.
I'll shoot you a text on when this is going to come out.
Right on, man.
All right. Thanks so much.
You got it.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, it was berlacious. Lit his head up like a fucking Christmas tree. But enough about you, Joe.
Here are my buds, Mike Dick and Mike New York.
You from New York?
No.
That was fucking awesome. It was killer talking to Joe. And let's get Hubs. Fuck it.
Hello?
Hey, Bradford Tatum.
Yes, this is he.
How you doing? Thank you for doing the pod.
How are you?
I'm doing great.
Oh, you bet.
Yeah, so cool. I'm glad you got back so fast. That That was awesome. So,
well, it's a subject close to my heart.
Yeah, I think that's one of the coolest things is it seems like all the main characters from the Stone Age, you guys all like embrace it. It's not something you run from. You don't run from it.
No. I think in my case it was because I'd lived it. You see, you have to understand the producers wouldn't admit that it was a period piece.
Yeah.
Because it hadn't been done. I don't think Dazed and Confused had come out yet, and that whole 70s trend hadn't begun. And it was clear that Rich was riffing on his upbringing somewhat. But I was on the receiving end of assholes like Hubs when I was in high school. So I had a real 360, CinemaScope view of guys like that because I was raised in California.
Yeah.
So that.
Whereabouts did you grow up?
Well, Southern California, so in Orange County, and then also in San Jose.
Okay, cool.
And then in Los Altos near Stanford, up near Palo Alto.
Yeah.
So I kind of moved back and forth between the two polarities of the state. Yeah. And in those, and I'm guessing it was probably like 78, 79 is the feeling that I get when I watch it. And that sinks right up to my junior high days, high school days.
Yeah.
So.
And you really,
it was Michael.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, go on.
Well, you relate to the Hubs character on the opposite end. And that was my question, is how much Hubs is really in you, because this is your first like big role. You'd done like little bits on TV before, but this is like your first big main character in a long piece or a movie. And I mean, you knock it out of the fucking park. So
Thank you.
There's got to be like some of that in you, right? Or like you say, you're channeling the bullies that you remember.
Well, he's a guy who knows his son is about to set. You know, he knows that this is probably the best time of his life, and even though he's probably not articulate enough verbally to state that, I think emotionally he knows that. And he's also, if you think about it, why Joe? Why not a guy like him?
Yeah.
You know, there's something not desperate, but a little bit off in Michael Hubs, I think, where he desperately needs the praise. He needs an audience. He needs to be listened to, because he doesn't hang out with those, guys that are drinking talls.
Right.
He hangs out with Joe. You know what I mean? So they are kind of separate.
But we don't know how wild Joe was before he looked the eyeball hit him. So Joe might have been
true.
Joe might have been an alpha before. So.
Yeah, but I would doubt that in the days pre-PCdom.
Yeah. Well, I do think that Hubs has a little bit of a nurturing side to him, though. I mean, he is looking out for Joe.
In the best way that he knows how, which is pretty lame. But yeah,
well, he does convince Laney. He does convince Laney to blow him. So
yes, which he fucks up. So yeah, right.
I know, in pure Joe fashion. So yeah,
right.
How were you courted for the movie, or did you discover it? Like, how did that come about?
I'm sorry. What was your question?
How are you? Like, how did you get recruited for the movie, or how did it come across?
just one of 1,000 auditions that were coming down the pipe at that time, and just from reading the sides, I knew it was unique. There was the banter felt very organic. It felt very kind of John Hughesian, but it wasn't. It was definitely that stoner world, and the language felt real, and yet also felt original. Like, I don't know that I'd heard the word worm before, or, I mean, there's all kinds of weird little argets that they use that are unusual, that are unique to their little, Torrance world.
Yeah, I mean, he creates a full vocabulary.
And I love that.
He creates a full vocabulary. It's amazing.
And I love that. I just thought that was so unique, what he was doing. you know, and I wanted it. And so I went, I had just cut all my hair off too. And I'd had long hair and I had just cut it. And so I went into this thing and what the fuck was I when I did that? 28 years old, 27 years old. I mean, it was like Grease. I was way too old for the part. And I was up against guys who weren't. And, I think I'm a little bit older than Michael, but Michael looks young and Michael had been with it since it had been first conceived. So it was really about me. You know, I had to perform and I did. And then nothing happened. A month went by and I called up my agent and I said, what happened to that? At the time it was called Tax Chicks. I said, what happened to that Tax Chicks movie? And he goes, what do you mean? I said, well, I really liked it. He says, that stoner thing? I said, no. It's more than that. It's a real character piece. It's really good.
Yeah.
Real slice of life, one night. It's really clever, really, really good. I really want to do it. And he goes, well, let me call over there. And he goes, oh, they forgot about you, but now they remember. So do you want to go back in? Yeah. I said, nothing. I forgot about me. No, well, clearly I left no impression. I had no idea what had happened. So I went back in and, we were sitting in these two crappy little plastic chairs, the video camera in front of us, and we were doing that car scene. Mm-hmm. You know, they always put some pussy song on to find out who the faggots are or whatever. Yeah. I'm just going to quote the dialogue. Don't you see me on that?
Yep.
It's
a period piece.
It's a total period piece. Not quite, you know, Roots, but yeah, it's right. Anyway. Somebody pops their head in the office and he listens and I hear him say, why not that guy? Something like that.
Yeah.
And then within hours I had the part.
Awesome.
So I don't know if it was just a weird hand of God thing, just bizarre timing or what it was. I really liked Michael. I thought he was, you know, smart and clever and funny and he clearly got Joe to a T, so he was very easy to work off of and work with. And that really was the calling card because I didn't know Jim Melkonian at all, and I'd never met Rich. It was just, you know, Michael was just so great. It's like, I have to work with this guy. So
yeah,
I got my wish.
Yeah, and I have really no knowledge on like the film industry at all. This is more of a music podcast. But
right.
But how many people like go out for a character like Hubs? How many guys were you up against?
Thousands. I have no idea. Probably a few hundred, I would guess.
So a few hundred actually like show up and read?
And not only that, I would imagine my name was cursed for a while because I know that there were guys, because clearly they had done other iterations of this thing.
Yeah.
But Disney was involved for a while, so somebody played Hubs.
Right. Yeah.
And then this old guy comes around who doesn't even have long hair, you know, who's like 15 years too old for the damn thing, comes in and gets it. I mean, I probably pissed some guys off, which I'm sorry about that, but I love the part.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would imagine quite a few because I remember the first audition was hours as guys went in to read with, I think just read. I don't even know if Michael was there.
Okay.
I really don't remember, but I remember there were these stairs. It was this weird kind of bi-level 70s looking office and everybody was all in their rocker gear and everybody was kind of sacked out on the stairs as they waited to go in and they were mixed and matched. And so it was a long, long process, but there were a lot of guys just the one day that I went,
you
know,
yes.
And I guess they just couldn't find him. I mean, because if a month goes by and they hadn't cast it, you know, or something happened, or I have no idea. I have no idea what happened.
No, it just goes to show like how awesome this movie is. Like the fact that they have that many people come through and they don't find the right Hubs. You know, you were the Hubs. It had to be you.
I guess.
You know,
I guess.
It's just it's a crazy movie, and when you look at it, you know the director, the writer-director, he didn't really do anything else ever, except for he did like the Jerky Boys movie right after. And
right. Well, but then Rich went on to work with Neil Moritz.
Okay.
You know, he did a lot of he did Airheads.
Yeah.
And then he did He did Triple X. He did some Vin Diesel films because I think those are produced by Neil Moritz, who produced The Stoned Age.
Cool.
So Rich still kind of keeps his hand in it for sure.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I will Google him. But Jim Melkonian didn't end up doing too much after.
No.
Which is a shame.
You know,
I wish he wrote another script or something. Jesus.
I know. It was a weird lightning in a bottle. It's so typical of that type of thing because it's so ahead of its time.
Yeah.
In a weird way. Dazed and Confused came out and trounced it because I remember there was a conversation. Trimark had it because they produced it, and they're like, "We're going to do this new thing called a DVD release."
Yeah.
And we were like, "If you don't put it in the theaters, how's anybody ever going to find it?" Because we didn't. I mean, this is way before streaming and
of course.
that whole world. And so when Dazed and Confused got a theatrical release, we're like, "Well, that's it.
Yeah,
that's the one they're going to remember."
Yeah,
you know?
but you take a dig at it on the poster, too. That's what the poster says.
Again, I mean...
which it is. It is. Dazed and Confused is a great movie.
It's a great movie, and Linklater is a terrific director. Really, really good. And clearly a lot of those guys went on to do a lot more than Michael and I did. You know what I mean?
Of course, it's an absolutely great movie, but the Stoned Age there's nothing like it. Is it like a buddy flick? Is it a travel flick? Like you guys are cruising all night? Like, I don't know. There's nothing like it. It's almost like it would have been perfect as a play. Like all the scenes are broken out so perfectly. You could like do it on stage.
And then it has a very surreal dream sequency element to it. That was, I mean, I think only Australian directors were doing that in those days.
Yeah. Well, there's a little bit of that in like Life of Brian, you know, they break off. But
that's what I'm saying. That it's an odd sort of European influence in there, which Dazed and Confused, to my recollection, didn't have. It was much more slice of life.
Yeah. It's a more typical comedy movie, where this is just it's wild and they let it go off the rails like when it needs to, and then pull it back in when they need to. So, but yeah,
and it's a strain. It really does define cult because the people that love it. Like they have Stoned Age themed weddings and baby showers, and I mean it's amazing how it's connected with people.
You
know, and again, that was not my world. I was not that guy. I was not doing that with my, weeknights or whenever they're cruising.
Sure.
I had to learn to smoke for that. I mean, I didn't even smoke, and they says, "Well, he huffs Marlboros," and I'm like, "Well, then I better learn because smoking a lot."
Yeah.
So, I mean, all of it to me was a character.
Sure.
It was a character. It was guys that I remembered in high school and junior high who carried knives to school and little dime bags and crazy little bongs and
How much of your lines was any of it improv? Because it seems like a lot of it is just I can't imagine like how you pull it off it being like fully scripted.
I'm pretty sure it was at least 98 to 99% as Jim and Rich had written it.
Yeah, like like when Tax hanging onto the window, and you're gonna and you pound him, you're like, "Oh yeah, you mother," like that stuff just seems so like off the top of the dome.
But the line was "tack you cack."
Yeah.
And what the hell does that mean? So, no, that is not something I wanted to come up with because I didn't even know what it means.
Yep.
And there was a lot of hang a loogie on him. I got that. That was the odd this and that. But again, these are those weird sort of unconscious salad days before the PC bomb fell. And I mean, we had a Buffalo chick, one of the girls, leave because she was so offended by what we were saying. Rightly so, I would think.
Really?
In today's crowd. Yeah. One of them didn't want to continue, which I thought was very brave, to be honest with you. But then again, I was a lot older than everybody else, and I kind of saw it from the other side. And, I personally felt, my God, we're really walking a line here, but it's a slice of life character thing. And I think because we've gotten into such PC waters, it's become very precious to the people who appreciate it because, if nothing else, is very honest about that era, very honest about the attitudes and how people felt and thought.
Yeah. So with the one girl leaving, did they adjust the script? Because at the end of the movie, it does go down to the 2.
That's what happened. They just went to 2.
Yeah, but it's great because they're like, oh, we got to even out the ratio.
But that was a line that was the line they had to throw in because she'd left. She quit.
But that's kind of a brilliant ending though for those girls.
Yeah,
for their.
And if you knew Rich and Jim, there's nothing offensive about these men. They are so considerate and sweet. I mean, I remember the scene with Renee when we had to do the topless stuff. I mean, that's very, very uncomfortable stuff to do in front of a full crew, even if you agree to do it.
Sure.
It's very uncomfortable. And I remember Jim just being so cool and just, well, we got to see your breasts. I mean, I understand, but this is really what this particular shot is about. And you can, I can clear the crew to minimum. And he just handled it in my recollection. Renee might remember it somewhat differently, but I remember him being very cool about that. And just having tremendous respect for him doing that, just really being cool about it.
Yeah.
Cause that was an age when they were not cool with that
on
sets. I'd seen a lot of rough, nasty producer guys just go off on women and made them feel like shit and objectified and crappy. And, why the hell do you think you're here? This is why we hired your ass. And none of that. It's gross. It's so gross. And so the feeling on the set was not debauched and was not rude or insensitive in any means, at least not to the degree that I witnessed it. It was people that, because we were going to work at 7:30 at night and getting home at 7:30 in the morning. So we were vampires. I mean,
sure.
So a lot of it is just sleep deprivation.
Yeah.
I remember pissing in that ashtray around 4:30 in the morning, and I was out of my mind, exhausted. Yeah. So that laugh is just one of somebody who's just, has no electrolytes. I mean, I'm just totally manic at that point.
Yeah.
Plus, I had so much nicotine in my system, which I was not used to.
Right.
I was just blown. And I think Michael Wiseman had just kicked the shit out of the front door, and that had freaked us out. And
Tax Brother.
Yeah, who was great. Who I ended up working with again, actually, in a Roger Corman movie, Black Scorpion. He was great. I mean, everybody was just so cool.
Yeah.
Really. And really wanted to be there.
Yeah.
Really, really wanted to be there. China Kantner and, listen to stories when she was willing to tell them about her mom and her dad and growing up in hippie land. And, it was cool. It was really cool.
Yeah. And where you're shooting all over, is it in the Valley or are you actually shooting in Torrance?
We were in Reseda.
Okay.
We were in Reseda, and then that last shot where BOC comes out and they're hawking shirts or whatever, I think that was a little strip mall. There was a Michael's there. That was someplace on Ventura, but it was all like, I know the house, the kind of weird apartment-y, where Rhoda's boyfriend, I cannot remember his name, that actor who played Lanny's dad. I think that was in Reseda. And then it was just a lot of Michael and I. We were alone a lot, and there was no director because there was a lot of that shot maker stuff. So there was just a camera in the windshield, and it was Mike and I just driving for hours, just doing dialogue and doing stuff alone.
Are you actually driving? And then you're driving when you're doing it? It's not like set up?
Yeah. Well,
there's 2 cars, right? They cut one in half.
Yeah. There was, because the shot maker in those days was this crazy rig. Not like today when you're shooting on, digital.
Right.
So there was stuff where we see the kind of the profile of the car and the front of the car and stuff like that, and that's definitely driving. I think I must have been towed. I don't know how it would have kept the focal distance otherwise. But I remember hours of that, and those are Mike and I mean, they were mine for sure favorite nights because we just bantered, and it was just a ball. And like I said, that leather jacket was mine. That wristband. I mean, I just brought this stuff. They didn't even really know what to dress Michael Hubbs in. And then Michael said, "What?" Because we all had these stovepipe 501s, and Michael says, "You should split them so that they look like bell bottoms," because that's how Michael dressed normally in those days.
Right.
And so I did, and then all of a sudden it looked like we were wearing these flare jeans. And now it kind of looked like the late 70s. But like I said, they were completely reticent to admit to it being a period piece. They're like, well, it can be any time. I'm like, not with avocado shag and chocolate brown telephone. No. This is the late 70s for sure.
Yeah. I gotta mention, I said Tax Brother, but it was Crump's brother. So don't get at
Crump's brother.
Don't get at me, people. I know the movie.
And then Crump, Dan Collins went off to be a world premier hot rod designer and tattoo artist, and
super cool.
It was neat. It was.
Yeah. Do you stay in touch with a lot of the people from the movie?
Dan a bit, Mike a bit. Yeah, I was in touch with Michael Wiseman for a while, who played Crump's brother. It was so long ago, though.
Yeah,
you got to think about that. I mean, it's 30 years ago almost, right? Something
yeah, no,
little less.
Sure. Yeah, 25.
Right? 25 years?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I had and I went through so many changes after that. Yeah. But it has stood out. It has stood out, and and I've done bigger films or whatever, work for studios or what have you. But
of course,
nothing like that. Nothing that had that feeling.
Yeah,
and that vibe where you could just do it and go and and it just felt good because Jim had a very loose. He kind of let you go. I mean, it was clear he had a vision for it, but he would just let us go, which was great.
Yeah, and I think that's why I was asking if any of it was improv, because it does seem really loose like that. But they are coming up with all that crazy vocabulary and stuff. It has to be kind of scripted.
There was a lot of that, and I remember being so charmed by all that weirdness that Rich and Jim had come up with that I clearly wanted to keep it.
Yeah.
Quarter OZ, fifth of Jack, just take this. Like, I remember saying, is it quarter OZ? Is he saying quarter ounce? He's like, whatever you want to say. And I'm like, well, he's written OZ. So I thought, okay, he'll say OZ.
Yeah. That's perfect.
Which it probably should have been ounce. But I thought, oh, no, that's kind of more fitting with this weird lingo that they've got.
Yes. Yeah.
Or Hubbs actually thinks that's what the measurement is. It's an OZ measurement. He's not quite sure that it's short for ounce. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, there were weird little things that you with improv, like when you're working with Taylor Negron,
mm-hmm.
nothing scripted. He said different things every take.
Right.
And so we had no idea what he was going to say. And then when we're in the liquor store and the cop calls my name, I just threw my hands up behind my head like he's being arrested.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
And they thought that was funny, but I thought he's so used to being busted.
Right. Yeah, and it's a little condescending, right? To throw your hands up like that to the cops. So I like it.
Well, it's interesting because now it would be for sure.
Right.
Now it would be, oh, you're gonna bust me, pig. I get it. But I think in Hubb's mind, it was just when he hears his name, he knows he's done something wrong.
Right.
When he hears his full name, he knows he's done something wrong. If you just say Hubbs, it's okay. It was like almost a Pavlovian response, I thought.
Yeah.
Which I thought would be funny.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah. And that was Clown Liquor. Was that Clown Liquors where we shot that? That might have been. I don't remember. Anyway, so long ago. But it's still fresh. So some of it is still.
It totally holds up because it's like locked in as a period piece, so it doesn't get dated. You know, it's great. Your personal opinion is "Don't Fear the Reaper" a pussy song?
No, it's a song advocating teen suicide. I think that's pretty hardcore. I mean, regardless of what your feelings are on that. Ironically, that was always my personal favorite POC song. Probably because it's the only one that I'd heard. I don't know why he thinks that's a pussy song, because it's clearly a song you'd make out to.
Yeah,
it's clearly a song you'd fuck to. So it's funny how there was that kind of macho bonding between them. You know, like I actually don't think Hubs thought that about that, but he didn't want, you know, Joe to think otherwise.
Yeah.
You know, there's a bit of that posturing and shit. And that was something else that I thought was so charming, because clearly Joe is far more intelligent and can totally see through it, and yet just indulges in this weird way.
Yeah. You know? But, you know, when you're teenagers, there's not that much to do. So maybe artists cruising.
Especially, yeah. And there was, and you just got the feeling that they didn't really land a lot. Like they spent a lot of time in that car.
Yeah.
Looking for something, searching for something.
Well, that's the brilliance of the movie. If you're going to juxtapose it against Dazed and Confused, right? It's like the average teenager is going to be able to relate to the Stone Age so much more. It's two buddies going around looking for a good time, and all you have is some dirt weed, and you got your mom's bottle of liquor, you know, which you don't really want to drink. And and Dazed and Confused is, you know, it's all beautiful women and tons of weed and life is great and all this. And, yeah.
Yeah. And this was the night where Joe and Hubs actually got lucky.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
You know, and in a sense, that's kind of why it's worthy of the narrative, because it's the one night that these two guys out on their quest got it. Yeah. You know, they landed it.
Yeah. And you went for it though, too. So,
yeah.
But yeah. Well, Bradford, appreciate it so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, this has been great, and I'm going to try to get Joe and Laney as well. So,
is there anything else that you've always wondered about that you want to ask? That you know?
No, I'm going to put together a piece for this. This will come out in late January for my 50th episode, and
wow,
yeah, and then we'll see. I might have a follow up for you if that wouldn't bother you too much.
Not at all. Not at all.
But this has been great to just get you down. I appreciate how quickly you got back and how easy you've been.
You bet.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks so much.
You bet.
Have a great day.
All right. You too.
Bye-bye.
So what's the problem, guys? You're here with all your buddies.
Yeah. Right. There's plenty of lawn ornaments to break. Come on.
There's another keg, man. Ain't even been tapped yet.
Hey, man. These ain't talls.
No shit. What the fuck, damn Hanky? Get us some tall.
All right. I mean, you guys are fucking dicks. You come here, you think the chick's gonna go for it because you got some Ox 45? These are talls, man. Yeah.
All right. That was fucking awesome. For me, at least. Shit. I hope you guys enjoyed that. And if not, we're back to fucking punk rock next week. So whatever the fuck ever. I can treat myself. I'll only do it on my 50th episode and for my 40th birthday. It won't happen again. At least not the Stone Age. Yeah, nothing will be that sick again. Anyway, thanks so much for listening, and thank you for the support. And let me know what you want. What way do you want this podcast to go? What direction do you want me to take it in? You know, fucking get at me. And thanks again, guys. Goodbye.